All right, hi everybody.
Hey.
We're here in San Francisco, and I met Camille, who works at Google, and she's going to tell you guys, for my students, because I want you guys to learn all about coding, and I'm always talking and preaching about coding and let's code, let's do this, let's do that. So I really want you to hear from the expert.
Yeah.
Here's Camille. So what got you started in robotics?
So robotics was all about saying yes to new opportunities. So I got asked if I wanted to be in an internship for HP. And they said, okay, now that you're here, we're gonna give you a robotics project. And I had never done robotics before, knew nothing about it, but I trusted my mentors and I trusted the people who said, like, you should do this. And I found out that all I had to do was apply some of the stuff that I already knew. So going to engineering school, I knew how to use SolidWorks, which is a CAD program. I knew about things like statics and joints and things that go together. So all I had to do was apply my knowledge I already had beforehand to something that was unfamiliar.
And what do you remember about middle school or high school?
Middle school and high school, so really important was just the tenacity and just wanting to learn and not being afraid to learn. So in my middle school years, that's when I first started to learn how to code. When I was 12, I picked up an HTML book and I read it. And I started applying it, and I had a really cool online community of young students who were just like me, who were also coding, and so we kind of learned from each other. But through that period of time, I did that because it was fun and because I was learning things and I was doing websites. And the other part of that is I was learning on the go, so I didn't have to sit down and read a book and know everything at once. But as I came across ideas for projects and designs that I wanted to implement, I would do them. The other thing I would do is I would copy and repeat. So I would see how one website did it, and then I would try to mimic the website.
Nice. And
that's how I learned web design. And then by the time that I became a college student, I was actually running my own web design business, taking care of my housing. That's how I paid for my housing my first year in school. So that was still the case. I just kind of taken it in bits and pieces. And then by the time I got to 4 years down the road, I had all this knowledge. But I never had to know everything at once, which is really important.
Okay, cool. So what are you really passionate about?
Nowadays, I'm wearing this shirt that says Girl STEM Stars. And I'm super passionate about getting more young people, especially students of color, into tech and learning about it and making it accessible, because I think that's really what it comes down to, is you need examples. So for me, I didn't know I wanted to become an engineer until I saw Mae Jemison, who was the first black female astronaut for NASA. And once I saw her, I was like, okay, I definitely want to become an astronaut. But to become an astronaut, you had to become some other profession. It's kind of like med school. You have to go to school before you can even go to school for med school. So I decided that I wanted to do engineering, and that's where that kind of focus came from. But it came from the example of someone else. So that's really what's important to me, to make sure that other young students have access to the information, because it's really about starting that pipeline and under that pipeline of knowledge from yourself to what you want to be in the future. And it's really doable because my family doesn't have a background in engineering, and I'm the first engineering student from my family. So it doesn't have to be a barrier if you've never seen anything like it before, if you never heard about it before. What is the barrier is your own willingness to see something new and see something that you haven't seen before.
Wow, and I guess the last question that I want to ask you, excellent, thank you. The last question that I really want to ask is, if you had to give college students and middle school students this tips, because I teach both at the college level at Rutgers University and also at Woodbridge Middle School, so what would you give this
Yeah. I have 3 rules for life. So these 3 rules have gotten me far. So number 1 is you have to say yes to every new opportunity. So even if it scares you, especially if it scares you, say yes to every new opportunity that comes across your path, because you never know what it will bring. I didn't know robotics was in my path, but it was, because I said yes. And it turned out to be a really great experience, and now I'm working at Google X as an intern in robotics. So that's amazing. The number 2 thing I would say is never do anything twice. So that means, again, stepping out of your comfort zone and making sure that you're trying and experiencing many new things, because that's really important, especially as students, because you have the opportunity to explore, and you got to explore quickly and fast so you can figure out things that you don't know before you get settled in a career or anything else. And then number 3 is to make your accomplishment visible. Once you do something, once you find something, once you get there, and once you have something, even if it's a small accomplishment like I learned how to use Word and I made a report for my boss. That's an accomplishment. Make sure you showcase that accomplishment, because here's the thing, it's not who knows who you know, it's who knows what you know. So who knows what you know is really important, and no one will know that if you don't showcase and brag about yourself sometimes. So be bold.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Be bold, everyone. Keep learning.